This is like, it loves Bill Jane. It's always good to talk about Bill Jane and.
I can see. Well, he needed to. Yeah, he does.
Sarah, I take it, okay, I can hear some microphones. It sounds like we are on. To our new Mr. Manager, are you ready to go?
Ready to go, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome everyone to the June 3rd, 2024 Cumberland Town Council meeting. I call it to order. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes, and those are the minutes from our May 13th, 2024 Town Council meeting.
I move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions or comments on those minutes? I know they're pretty long. Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we are actually going to be moving manager's report to the legislation and policy section of the agenda tonight. So we'll go directly into public discussion. Public discussion is for comments on items that are not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person, and rebuttal comments will be limited to 2 minutes. Public discussion topics may be brought up again under new business for further council discussion. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to address the council on any topic that's not on the agenda this evening, you're welcome to come up to the podium now. And if you don't mind when approaching the podium, just saying your name and where you live. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Jamie Broder. I live on Old Musket Road, somewhere near Mark. As you all know, I served as chair of the Housing Task Force and work with the council members at great length and with Bill as well to try to create a report that could actually be implemented. And we figured the only way to do that was to make it a requirement that we reached a unanimous vote on our report. We had 10 members and added Councilor Segrist and Councilor Vail as our filters for crazy stuff that we were thinking about. And we came up with something that everybody went with. There's a lot of time of the members and all the other people who supported us and the council in that report. We don't anticipate everything is going to get adopted or get adopted now or get adopted unchanged. But it's a pretty strong guideline to approaching an issue which not only is happening in Cumberland, it's happening in Cape, as you will remember. It's happening in Falmouth, it's happening in Portland, it's happening in Westbrook and Scarborough. So it is a regional issue and it needs to be dealt with. So my parting comment to the existing council is let's not put it up on the shelf. Let's use it as a living, working document that can provide some guidance and some help to solve a problem that has, up until today, never been solved, and that's a regional issue, not just a Cumberland issue. But it was a lot of work. It was a lot of building consensus. Let's not lose that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the council on a topic that's not on the agenda this evening? Okay. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close public discussion, and we will move directly into legislation and policy. And the first item on the agenda is 24-058 to appoint Matthew Sturgis as town manager and tax collector, including all other duties as listed in Article 3, Section 3 of the Town Charter, effective June 3rd, 2024. So we are very happy and excited here at the Town of Cumberland to welcome Matt Sturgis, who was formerly the town manager in Cape, who has now come over through a really exhaustive search from Councilor Douglas and others on the council, Councilor Story King and others, put together in terms of vetting dozens and dozens and dozens of candidates who applied for this job. And we're very thankful that Matt has joined the team here. And so this is the first item of business, is to obviously say goodbye to our former town manager, Bill Shane, and to welcome Matthew Sturgis as our new town manager here. So does anyone from, I guess first we can start by welcome. Thank you. So I think this is more of a formality than anything, but does anybody on the council have anything they'd like to add before we kind of open this up?
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe what we can do is we can actually vote on this issue, and then that will free you up and allow you to be the new town manager, I think is what maybe we need to do here. So, oh, excuse me. Please.
Should officially swear him in like you would swear him in all other department heads as required by the charter. So
Okay.
Jen should come up and read the oath.
Okay.
And make him go through the process. So I can't leave my seat until he's officially
Thank
in,
you.
so.
I appreciate that. That's great.
And the
Keeping us
meter's
in line.
running. I got a tea time in like 10 minutes, so I got to get
You
going.
got a cooler full of drinks? Yeah, I know. Okay.
So Jen, if you would come up.
While he's moving to the screen, I would just like to send condolences to Cape Elizabeth.
Oh, that's great.
But on that note, I'm so proud of Cumberland because he wasn't out looking for a job. He was very happy in Cape Elizabeth and decided, I think I could be happy in Cumberland. And so I'm proud of our town for you considering an application in our direction, because you can't find many managers. We had a truck driver apply. We had just all sorts of interesting candidates apply. And we are so thankful that you wanted to apply to Cumberland. So, welcome.
Kudos to Tig and Bailey and you, Shirley, for bringing this candidate for the whole board to consider. Top notch. I've never received so many nasty grants as I have from the police chief in Cape Elizabeth. Telling me how we robbed Matt and all this, but you guys did an amazing job. Matt, you've got one thing to teach her is a little bit about baseball. You got to teach Tig, so.
Sorry for me.
But congratulations, Matt.
Proceed. Yes.
Ready? All right. Do you, Matthew Sturgis, swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as you shall continue a citizen thereof, and do you swear that you will faithfully discharge, to the best of your abilities, the duties incumbent on you as, I'm going to read the whole list, tax collector, treasurer, road commissioner, and town manager for the town of Cumberland, according to the Constitution laws of the state?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Fantastic. Congratulations and welcome. I'm so happy with you.
So it sounded like we snuck a few extra jobs in there on you. So I guess now would be a great time that we can maybe turn it over to you to start off with a little manager's
We
report.
have a motion?
Oh, excuse me. Guess, man,
Give you a motion.
it's my last meeting and I'm forgetting how everything works. So,
Okay.
yes, I believe we need a motion here.
Right here. Go ahead, Bailey, you're the
I know, I
ran-
really
you
got to
ran
practice,
the-
Ron. You've done
you
this
ran the
all
show.
for
You
us.
go for
All
it.
right, all right. I move to appoint Matthew Sturgis as town manager and tax collector, including all other duties listed as listed in Article 3, Section 3 of the town charter, effective June 3rd, 2024. Congratulations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there anyone from the public who has a comment on this?
No.
Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, I was so excited to turn it over to you. I think we can legally do that now, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, councilors, as well. It was, 25 years, round up a little bit, that I was in Cape Elizabeth, and when this opportunity presented itself, I enthusiastically jumped at the opportunity because, one, I live just a rock throw from the line on Forest Lake, and but seeing such great work that's been taking place in this community and the dynamic changes that have taken place over the years and just the way that the town has grown in such a positive way was really, I admired it as a person that drove through it every day on my way back and forth to work. And the fact that I had the opportunity to follow up from Bill, who left such a thumbprint on this town of such great achievement and success. It's been, it's an amazing legacy and one that I hope to try to jump onto and try to keep moving forward in the direction that Bill had it set in. And it's been great. I've appreciated the roads. It sounds funny. I ride my bike and I run on the roads a lot, and the infrastructure here has been great. Seeing the community and the items that have been developed over the years from Twin Brooks and such the beauty of that park and such a community asset. The community itself, from the parades, the 5K on Thanksgiving Day, all of just the community involvement has just been really inspiring to see as a person just next door. And I grew up in New Gloucester, so I've had the opportunity to see this my entire life, to see Cumberland's growth and be a beacon for many of the communities surrounding you to see as just a great place of accomplishment. So I'm looking forward to working on that and being here, and I'm so grateful for the council for bestowing their trust upon me to do this job, and I'm looking forward to a long career here in the next chapter. So, and I guess I've been sworn in, so officially from this point forward, you can swear at me. So, thank you for that,
That's
Mr.
great.
Chairman.
Thank you so much, and welcome again. Yeah, really excited to have you. Okay, so the next few items on the agenda also relate to kind of the transition between managers, and so the next item is agenda item 24-059, to authorize and execute a certificate of settlement pursuant to 36 Maine Revised Statutes annotated section 763 in connection with the resignation of William R. Shane as tax collector for tax years 2021 through 2022, 2022 through 2023, and 2023 through 2024, and to thereby discharge William R. Shane from any further liability to collect the remaining taxes due for the aforesaid years effective today, June 3rd, 2024. It's a very long way of saying, as the former town manager, Bill Shane was responsible as the tax collector. There are certain responsibilities associated with that which are now being transferred over to our new town manager, and as a result, we need a certificate of settlement, according to our attorneys, to relieve William R. Shane from the obligation to continue to do that, because that is now the obligation of our new town manager. So it's basically a passing of the torch through a certificate of settlement there. Anyone on the council have questions about this item?
I just want to express my gratitude to Bill and the council for how respectfully we've treated people with their overdue taxes or their challenges in paying. Going back to the Murray policy, which predates me, and I know Matt will be sensitive to future taxpayers in that regard. But I appreciate how much work Bill did in sort of compromising with different taxpayers. One we did a land swap and sold the land, and then that allowed them to live in the property on there. The house on another piece of property that was nearby. It wasn't always easy, but he always sought solutions, and I am hopeful that continues.
Any other comments, questions from the council on this? Any comments from the public? Okay. Seeing none, I would welcome a motion. It is a mouthful, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion. I move to authorize and execute the certificate of settlement pursuant to MRSA 763 in connection with the resignation of William R. Shane as tax collector for years 21 through 22, 22 through 23, 23 through 24, and to hereby discharge William R. Shane from any further liability and to collect the remaining taxes due for the aforesaid years effective June 3rd, 2024.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
If we don't pass this, does that mean the bill still has to collect tax?
I believe so. It might be good to get two for the price of one, but you know what, I think Bill deserves a break. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
good question.
He's got his beer now, so I guess thanks, Ron, for that.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
William R. Shane, you now can go home.
Yep. Okay, the next item on the agenda also relates to property taxes and kind of this transition. One of the things I believe when a new manager takes over is they take a fresh look at the accounts and they try to figure out what outstanding tax liability do we still have that maybe is uncollectible because of someone passing away or a business leaving or some other reason. And our town clerk has put together a list of taxes to abate. And so the next item on the agenda is to abate certain uncollected real and personal property taxes pursuant to 36 MRSA Section 841(3) that are no longer collectible due to death, absence, poverty, insolvency, bankruptcy, and or any other inability to pay per the recommendation of the tax collector. Our town clerk, Jen Doughton, sent us a memo that kind of lists out some of these. Some of these are personal property taxes from folks between 2006 and 2015. I believe the taxes are in the amount of $7,900. Interest is in the amount of about $15,000, given that time period involved. There's also property taxes from 2016 to 2020 that I believe are in the amount of $1,761 and interest in the amount of $2,286. And again, the idea here is that these are kind of old past due accounts. I know even at my company, we often have to go through and you write off things at a certain point of time. I'm guessing anybody that's in business does that at a certain point. So I don't know if there's any questions from the council initially on these topics.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'd like
please.
to recuse myself from voting. My sister was associated with one of the businesses on the list.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we need to do any voting on?
I may object to that, because I went down to the list and I saw a number of people that I know, but I think that we could all be impartial jurors and make a decision here.
So I don't know the rules here in terms of, and I believe you're allowed to, Mr. Manager, maybe you know? You're allowed to abstain
Sure.
without a vote?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, and
Yes.
Councilor Story King, this may be helpful as well. Oftentimes, if you divulge that you have a relationship, and then you can put to the council, and if you feel that you can make an objective decision based on this, you can bring it to the council and raise it as a concern, and if the other councilors feel that you're not conflicted out, then you can vote
Okay.
on it. The other solution you could have would be to break that one account out and vote on the remainder, and then take the other one as a separate item, and you could handle it that way as well. So you have two different choices on the menu there for options.
Yep. Does anyone have a preference on that? I mean, I believe all of us probably could be impartial about this. So it's been disclosed, and thank you for that.
Okay.
If you feel like you can be impartial, I would maybe accept a motion from someone to maybe vote on moving forward with having Councilor Story King participate in that vote, regardless of her abstention.
I can give you a motion.
Okay, please.
I'm just moving to authorize.
Yep.
Move to authorize Shirley Story King to vote in regards to the abatement. Or do you want me to read the whole?
No, I think that's fine. Just,
Okay.
I think we're voting on her being able to vote on the issue after the disclosure of the potential conflict.
All right.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Oh, yeah. Well, and all those abstaining. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
See,
so
I'm teaching you all something
No, this is
to the
great.
very last minute.
I'll figure
We've
it out,
never
but I'll
done
be able
this
to-
in my 18 years. We've never done it this way.
So I believe we have 6 in favor and 1 abstention. So you are free to vote on this issue.
Thank you.
But thank you again for the disclosure there. Any other questions about anyone on the list or the issue? These were a lot of accounts, a lot of smaller value accounts that in the aggregate kind of added up to these numbers. And so some of these are from many, many decades ago. So I would accept, is there any question or comments from the public? Please, do you mind stepping up to the microphone and just stating your name and where you're from?
That's 22,000 total.
I think so.
Yes, my name's Sally Bancroft, and I live on 12 October Farm Lane. And I just want to say that we, the Bancrofts, ended up giving $5,000 to the town inadvertently, because when we moved from our house on Tuttle Road to build on the property behind us, there was a barn involved. And it turns out for 10 years, we were being charged for the barn, which was no longer ours, as well as the people who own the house were being charged $500 a year for 10 years. And I didn't find out until it was time to reassess the properties. And anyway, I just want to say you have $5,000 that you didn't expect.
All right, well, thank you, Sally. That is a separate topic that you might want to raise and discuss with our, okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Please, I'll happily take one. No, anyone else from the public have a comment on this? Okay.
I will give you a motion.
Okay.
I move to abate certain uncollected real and personal property taxes pursuant to 36 MRSA 841 parentheses 3 that are no longer collectible due to death, absence, poverty, insolvency, bankruptcy, or other inability to pay per the recommendation of the tax collector.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on those motions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Manager, you are now the full-time tax collector, and you get a clean slate. So, hopefully that helps. Okay, we're moving on to the next item, which I believe is going to be tabled, which is 24061, Review Chase Development Mineral Springs Affordable Housing Covenants. Yes.
I move to table the review of the Chase Development Mineral Springs Affordable Housing Covenants.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Before we vote on that, I'm going to ask, are there any questions? Oh, actually, sorry, we can't
You
have
can't.
discussion after a second of a motion. Okay, I will call for a vote on that motion. All those in favor? Unanimous. The next item on the agenda is 24062, to authorize the town manager to contract for the painting of the crosswalk at the intersection of Tuttle Road and Main Street with a rainbow palette of colors in support of Pride Month. This is something that's come up over the last several years. We've got a lot of folks in the community that have come to the town and asked us, from organizations and churches and students and other people, asking us, is there something that you can do? Because the library has great programming on this, the churches are doing things. Is there something that the town could do to show support for Pride Month? And so it's something that we batted around and discussed on the council a little bit. At first, my initial thought was, well, this is a relatively small expense. Maybe we can talk to the town manager and they can execute this, because the town manager usually has authority to move forward with certain things. But out of an abundance of caution, we checked with our attorney and we wanted to make sure we believe this may be considered governmental speech, making a statement with that. And so we thought it was best to bring it to the council and to discuss this openly and publicly and have a vote on that, given the fact that we are the public entity of the town. So with that, I would like to maybe start by opening it up to public discussion on this topic. I I do know we have some folks here with smaller kids, and so if something, maybe bedtime is an issue, feel free to jump up. But if is anyone that would like to address this topic, please feel free to step up to the podium and state your name and where you're from. Please.
Hi, my name is Pasha Marlowe. I live on Country Charm Road in Cumberland. Mental health professional for the last 30 years, mainly working with LGBTQ youth and adults, including many in our community. And I just want to say that every crosswalk, every rainbow, every flag matters for somebody to feel safe and a sense of belonging and a sense of inclusion in their own hometown. So I think it's actually life-saving. I think there's research that shows that showing representation for somebody's identity and somebody's truth can be life-saving. So 30% of Gen Z identifies in the LGBTQ umbrella, and I think 30% of kids in our town are worth $800 for a crosswalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please, yes. You may have to lower the microphone slightly. There you go. Do you mind just saying your names and where you're from?
Hi, I'm Mila. I'm Sawyer. And we live in Cumberland. We are students at Mabel I. Wilson and Greeley Middle School. We absolutely support the town painting one of our crosswalks rainbow colors for Pride Month.
The whole point of Pride Month is to have a whole month to appreciate the people in LGBTQIA+ community. So if we can have one of the crosswalks painted rainbow, that'd really help lots of people feel extra included.
The civil rights team at my school has been coloring paper pride flags and hanging them around the building. Then hopefully all the students feel like they belong and they are in a safe place.
So if we could extend our support to the whole town so many more people could feel like they belong in our community. And again, Pride Month is all about having people feel safe, welcome, and celebrate in their community.
All in all, we hope that everyone in the LGBTQIA+ community feels like they are a part of this town. Thank you and happy Pride.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maya and Sawyer. Anyone else from the public like to address? Oh, please. Oh, go ahead.
That's a hard act to follow. My name is Ellen Smith-Erb. I use she, her pronouns, and I've been a resident of Cumberland on Sparhawk for 22 years. I'm the proud mother of an adult child in the LGBTQIA community who completed their IB program at Greeley and served on the school board. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in private practice in Yarmouth, and I just happen to be in the middle of a three-series seminar on LGBTQIA issues so that I can be more proficient in working with clients who identify with this community. One of the things that has stuck with me from this webinar is how profoundly impacted people in the LGBTQIA community are. As a woman married to a man, I have better access not just to health care, but to better housing, employment, mental health, education, and the media. I also know that teens in the LGBTQIA community have a higher suicide rate, a higher rate of depression and anxiety, a higher rate of eating disorders, a higher rate of dropping out of school. 28% of trans and gender diverse individuals have postponed medical care when sick or injured due to discrimination and/or disrespect in the healthcare environment. This small gesture of painting a pride crosswalk is one way to say to the LGBTQIA community, you are important, you belong here in this community. We never know how we impact other people, and this is more significant than many people realize. I'm excited about the prospect of having a pride crosswalk here in town, and I ask that you vote yes. I'm asking you to create a symbol to let people in the LGBTQIA community know that they are important and they belong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Kate Rossiter. I live on Tuttle Road, with my wife and our 2 young sons. I had not planned on speaking tonight. I just want to say my older son, who is 7, is on the cusp of finding out that not everywhere in this world is a safe place for our family. And doing something like painting a crosswalk is just, sorry, I'm trying not to cry. It's a small token of letting our son know that this town where we chose to live and raise our kids is a safe place for his family. So I ask you to vote yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Walsh. I live on Main Street in Cumberland. I just also would like to encourage you to vote yes. For anyone who is opposed to it, I just want to remind you that if it's not about you, it's not about you. And there is some kid who's going to be walking across that crosswalk, and on their way home where they are not safe to say to their family, I'm gay, I'm trans, I'm queer, whatever. It's not safe at home. And for them to see that crosswalk or to see a pride flag hanging, they will know there are places where they will be safe. Maybe not right now, but those places exist. And just being able to have this small token that safe places exist in the world can be a lifesaver. So thank you, please vote yes.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please.
My name is Reverend Allison Smith, and I am the minister at the Congregational Church in Cumberland, United Church of Christ. Our church has been open and affirming to the LGBTQ plus community for 23 years. And we have been a welcoming and safe place. And so I just want to encourage you to vote yes, as our community has been sharing. It is so important. My dad was born in 1940, and he came out as a gay man in 1990. It took him 50 years of being in the closet, and by 1990, he was dealing with significant mental health and depression. Many of us may remember how hard it was then and know that it is not easy now for people to simply be themselves who God made them to be, is my understanding. My dad was the best dad any dad could have hoped for. And so it brings me hope and it brings me joy that with your vote, we will have this Pride crosswalk right here in the center of Cumberland, and we can affirm that every person is welcomed, every person is of value. As we've talked about the challenges for youth, LGBTQ plus young people are 4 times more likely than their peers to attempt suicide. And as our previous speaker noted, that crosswalk is important. And I also think that it fits in line with our community's effort to smash the stigma about mental health. Been so proud of our community, the tulips, talking about mental health, suicide, depression, anxiety. That is so important to save lives, and this fits perfectly with that. And so this crosswalk helps our youth, and as I remember my dad this Father's Day month, it helps our elders. And so I urge you to vote yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jill O'Connor. I live at 9 Country Charm Lane Road in Cumberland. Also not great at public speaking, and this is a very emotional subject for a lot of people. I am sorry.
Take your time.
Sorry.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm the parent of a queer child who could not stay at the Greeley schools because it was not very welcoming, and there was a lot of language used against my child and kids who are queer. And so, you know, she's at a different school. And I will say that when she puts a rainbow on her body and walks around, it's powerful and it matters. So, sorry. This is her. And she's also been asked to read a poem at the painting, the dedication of the crosswalk. So if it were to be approved, she would stand up and lend her voice to this, and it's so important. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Linda Brewster, and I live on the Old Gray Road in Cumberland, and I am the minister at Tuttle Road Community Church. And Tuttle Road Church has been open and affirming for 10 years. And 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, I guess, I don't know, 2 to 3 years ago, sometime in that time frame, we were a United Methodist Church, and we made the choice to leave the denomination because of their stance against LGBTQIA folks. When they doubled down in 2019, penalties for performing marriages and allowing LGBTQ folks to they didn't want them to be in leadership positions in the church. Our church had a 1-year discernment period where we really looked at where we stood in that process. And we ultimately took a vote, and 60 people, the day of the vote, I expected the vote to be, you know, like a 20-minute thing, yes or no. And we had 60 people that each one of those people stood up and not only said, yes, we want to leave the denomination, but they gave reasons for it. And every single one of them had a friend or a family member who were, you know, oppressed again, you know, things were said and done against, and every single member of that congregation that voted that day were just needing to leave the denomination for that reason. And we wholeheartedly support the the symbolism of the crosswalk being painted rainbow colors. And so I would encourage you to vote yes as well.
Thank you, Linda.
I've heard her name, and I was always wondering who she was. She's the pastor.
Dave Noonan, Meadow Lane. Regardless how you vote, I think it's a great opportunity for volunteerism as well. So if you do vote yes and it goes forward, I don't even think we need a contractor. I think we have plenty of volunteers here clearly that would be more than happy to chip in. So if people are against it just because it's a tax burden or whatnot, I think it's a great opportunity for volunteerism.
Thank you very much. On that note, we discussed this slightly because this is something that we talked with the Maine Department of Transportation about and got DOT approval on because there's a lot of traffic at that intersection for safety reasons. We want to make sure that somebody that's applying the paint is trained in public safety. Just keep everybody safe before there's anything. So again, getting the cart ahead of the horse a little bit, but we wanted to make sure that that's how that could happen if it did happen. So, but thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Any other comments from the public?
My name is Carrie Chinquette. I reside on Spruce Lane in Cumberland, and I just wanted to also encourage you to vote yes. I think this is a very small act that can be done, and I think the idea of volunteerism is wonderful, and it would be a very important symbol for our town, and I would just encourage you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Anyone else from the public have a comment? Okay. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close public discussion on that topic, and I'll bring it back to the council for deliberation. Does anyone on the council have any comments that they'd like to add? Discuss this.
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Councilor Bill.
Yes, I have quite a lot to say. When this item was first broached, I'll be first to admit that I thought to myself, this really isn't necessary. I'm interested in what's unifying for our community, and I'm not sure that I want to celebrate diversity. I said, you know, we've had a tough year, and maybe we should hold off on this. And so sometimes our initial thoughts are just that, our initial thoughts. And so I've had to dig a little bit deeper. This is emotional for me, too. My father was one of 4 brothers. He had 3 younger brothers. He was the oldest of 4. They all served in World War II. They were all, if you will, my heroes. My Uncle Bob, who I was named after, served as a Assistant Commissioner of Education for the state of Vermont. He did a short term as a college president. He was superintendent for 5 different school districts at one time. He served on the Auburn School Board. He taught me how to shoot a shotgun, how to handle a bird dog, and some of the other idiosyncrasies of being a young man. He was a radio operator on a B-17. And I knew the story because we all knew the stories, the family history of the valor. He was shot down. His plane crash landed. 3 of the people on that plane died. They were captured and taken into captivity, and they spent part of the war in confinement. He and 2 others managed to escape from prison and find their way back to Allied lines and back to civilian life at the end of the war. Not to belabor the story, but I think it's important to share it. Some years ago, a B-17 was in Portland as a display piece, and he asked me, he said, "Would you like to go in and see that?" And I said, "Yes, I would." He had never been on a B-17 since the day that it was shot down, and so we went in to see the plane. We entered from the rear. I have to tell you, it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. He said, more often than not, we would fly in 1,000-plane sorties out of England, and he said, on any given flight, 500 would not come back. 500 would go out, and 500 wouldn't come back. And he said, the last time, we were the one that didn't come back. We made our way down through the plane, and he described all of the positions and where he sat, and the ball turret gunner, the tail gunner, the flight officers, and it just was a tremendously emotional experience for me, as it was for him. I enjoyed a lot of times with him. The one thing that defined the man that perhaps, you know, was difficult in his day and age was that he was a gay man. And I can only imagine what it might have been like living that life back in the 30s, the 40s, with his adult life. This was a man that I looked up to, not only him, but his brothers also, because they all had a story that was worth sharing. But I think that when we talk about symbolism and what it is, you know, we can all, you know, some of us show our symbolism by the the cars we drive or the hobbies we have, and that's easy to do. This is one that I think we have to dig a little bit deeper for. I think that at the end of the day, as I sit up here and I remind myself, this is public service. And what is public service? Well, public service means that at some level we are a public servant. And I'm reminded of Jesus Christ when he said to his disciples, "I'm going to wash your feet." So this is from my uncle. This is from my Uncle Bob. It may be a small symbol, but I think it's important to share that and to share why I've reached the reason that I'm going to support this.
Thank you, Councilor Vail. Anyone else on the council have like that? Councilor Douglas?
Yeah, no, you get it, girl. Go after, try to top that.
I mean, Bob, I was at emotional capacity this month, so good thing it's now June. I will be voting in favor of this, and as I expressed to all of you in my, emails going back and forth last week, I just think it's a small symbol of inclusivity across all walks of life for the community, and all of the work that Councilor Filson has done, we need to be symbolizing that in different ways, and this is an opportunity to do that. So because of that, I will be voting in favor of it. And that's all.
Thank you, Councilor Douglas. Anyone else? Councilor Filson?
About 6 months ago, I saw a news article about a trans girl in a neighboring community who was on the cross-country team and was being bullied at races. And I thought to myself, what if she comes to Twin Brook? And what if she's running a race at Twin Brook? And what if she feels unsafe in our community? And kind of as a result, us as a council, we put together I think we call it a community values statement, but it's really kind of about anti-discrimination, but also some of the language that we codified there, which I think is really important, is about taking an extra step to make people feel welcome, being proactive. It's kind of the intersection of policy and kindness in a way that makes me really, really proud to not only serve on this council, but to be surrounded by people that are able to look for those, creative ways to kind of show kindness through symbolism. And I'd also be remiss to not mention that our former town manager, Bill Shane, was really, really central in that, not only for this particular initiative, but making sure that we were able to prioritize DEI training, able to kind of engage in some really uncomfortable conversations for a lot of people, because these are incredibly difficult things to engage on. People don't always feel like they have the right language, and that can be really scary. And so tonight I am just so proud and overcome to have this on our agenda. I, of course, will be kind of voting in favor of it. I think that it's a unique opportunity to show that we not only put out a statement, but we will take that extra step to put that symbol there, because I think the symbol really matters.
Thank you very much. Councilor Strike-King.
Yes. So I first want to thank everyone who has emailed us and all of you for coming tonight to discuss this important item. And I have a couple of things that I would like to say. I would like to say that every person in Cumberland is welcome. Every person. Every person is valued. And we work hard to make sure that Cumberland is safe. In fact, we've had the designation of the safest community in Maine for a number of years. And I'm still learning. I support pride. I support freedom of expression. Mike Perfetti emailed us and said, wouldn't it be nice if this was a month of inclusion? Because that's where I fall, is in conclusion. If we could paint this on our sidewalk, that would be my preference. It's coexist. It was a bumper sticker in my classroom, as was this windsock for almost 20 years, hung in my classroom. The last 4 years, it's hung outside and it's weathered and it has been replaced. I support protection and increasing awareness for all legally protected classes and the marginalized who don't belong to a particular class. I support mental health awareness and treatment, and I am so grateful for Kyle Cares, the program being run at Greeley High School, where a lot of students have gotten on board with raising awareness about mental health. I'm not anti-anything. I choose to lead by example, not legislation, and that's where this has been the rub for me. I have no interest in further polarizing our community, and I think, to be totally honest, I worry that when we put forth agendas like this, we cause someone the same sort of shame that the people who are being represented have been experiencing. There's a certain paradox to that. There are people who still wrestle with gender identification. People who are straight and feel guilty because they can't wrap their head around people who are not. And I hope that they continue to learn and grow and ask questions and participate. But I'm going to side with the Buddhists on this one, and I'm going to take the middle path. And the middle path for me is abstaining from a vote on this agenda item.
Any other, thank you, Councilor Story King. Any other comments from the council? So I've thought a lot about this agenda item over the last few weeks, as well as what our role on the council might be when it comes to taking on or addressing an initiative like this. And let me start by saying, and I think Councilor Story King is helping with this, but let me start by saying that I know that all of us on the council feel strongly about ensuring that all town residents, especially those in the LGBTQIA+ community, feel safe and welcome here, but that some of us may simply disagree on how best to convey that message, or frankly, whether it's the town council's role to take that action on. I bring this up only because I do not doubt for a second, I've known these councilors for years now, I don't doubt for a second a single councilor's heart or intention on this issue, as I know many, if not all of us, to Councilor Vale's point, have family members, friends, or even neighbors who identify as being part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and that everyone's view on this issue is coming from a place of inclusion and respect. I think that the issue may be that we simply need to discuss how best we as a council can help make Cumberland a more inclusive place to live, which is why this topic is on the agenda this evening. From my perspective, I'll say that the painting of a crosswalk, the color of a rainbow, is such a small and simple gesture to show how much we as a community support and celebrate diversity within our town and welcome people from all walks of life, even if their path may seem different than our own. I also feel like it's the role of town leadership, and specifically the town council, the elected political body of the town, to lead by example and to not only set municipal policy, but also the general tone and tenor for the town, which again, in my view, should be unambiguously welcoming and inclusive for all. So with that, I would encourage all of the town councilors who feel comfortable in voting in favor to join me and other councilors to support the painting of the Tuttle Road crosswalk in support of Pride Month, and to show not only through our words, but through our actions that the town of Cumberland is a welcoming and inclusive place to live. Is there anyone else from the council that has any comments on this? Councilor Kopp.
I just want everybody in the room to know that according to the state, we live in the safest community in the state of Maine, and I hope that is true. I don't want anybody here to feel like that they're looked down upon for any reason because of their attraction to anybody. It's not right. A lot of the local churches in the area, I'm on the road all of the time, a lot of the local churches in the area have signs out to say all are welcome. And I hope that's true with everybody. I want everybody to think that they're welcome in this community, no matter what they choose. We're not here. We're here for you folks, and that's what we're all here for. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussions? If not, I would welcome a motion.
I'll give you a motion.
Thank you.
I move to authorize the town manager to contract for the painting of the crosswalk at the intersection of Tuttle Road and Main Street with a rainbow palette of colors in support of Pride Month.
Give me a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion on those motions? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Thank you very much. We have 4 in favor and 3 abstentions. The motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you all for coming.
Let's see. The next item on the agenda is not as exciting. To hold 24-063, to hold a public hearing to consider and act on amendments to the personnel ordinance. This is the ordinance that we have, and I'm guessing Shirley Story King will be able to update me slightly more relating to our town staff. And there have been some changes to that. Most of these are relating to the fire and EMS department, where their provisions and their policy have been moved over to the union contract because they're going from non-union to union. Those changes have been kind of track changed and highlighted throughout where they've been removed from the policy. Does anyone have any questions about this? Looks like there's a new Juneteenth holiday that's been added. They've changed some slight terminology from compensatory to personal. And then again, most of this just strikes me as the removal of any firefighter or EMS language from that policy over to, and maybe you can address
It
this,
did not
Councilor
come to
Storking.
ordinance for that reason. It was part of the labor negotiations with the fire department that this language was changed.
Okay.
And the only question I had about it was on the last item that was sort of, had a question mark behind it.
Yep.
Was, do we still need to leave in that last paragraph about getting permission to travel out of state during a pandemic? I think it was about pandemic travel.
Yep, I had that same question. I don't know, Mr. Manager, if you're familiar with that? Okay.
If it may be of assistance to the council, Mr. Chairman, and Councilor Story King, I think you'd be safe with scratching that one through at this
Okay.
point in time, as those, many of those mandates and restrictions have been lifted across the
Right.
board from the testing requirements and all of that outside of very specific industries that have it. So I think you're fine at this point
Okay.
to eliminate that,
Great.
that section.
That's a good question.
I know they removed some of the restriction for EMS personnel and that, so I'm fine with striking it as well.
Okay, thank you for that as
I
well.
would recommend it.
Councilor Kopp?
I just have a question. Can somebody remind me what Juneteenth was?
Yes. It is the end of slavery.
Okay, and I couldn't remember what, I remember what I was talking about this, but I couldn't remember what the exact date was.
We actually, one of the reasons I believe we're meeting on June 3rd now, I know the elections affect this, but every June moving forward, there was an issue with Juneteenth falling on a Monday.
Okay.
And so we couldn't have a
You're right.
Now that-
a
now
town
I
council meeting on a
remember that,
Monday. So I think Juneteenth becoming the federal holiday as well
Okay.
as being recognized at the local level is kind of moved us around. Did you have anything else, Mr. Manager?
Right on the money, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I think the rest of the changes struck me as pretty mundane, so I don't know if there's any questions from the public on this topic. Okay, seeing none. I don't know if there's
give
any
you a
other
motion.
questions. Oh, please, go ahead.
I move to amend the personnel ordinance as presented in the meeting materials
Second.
with
Yeah, with the striking.
with the striking of the last paragraph.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion on those motions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. The next item is 24-064, which I believe will be a table to hold a public hearing to consider and act on authorizing the town manager to enter into a labor contract agreement with the Public Service Employees Association for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Mr. Chairman, when you're ready, I'll give you 3 motions.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I was just going to give a little context here and say, in terms of the background, the next 3 motions are all related to union contract negotiations. Some of those negotiations are not finalized at this point, and so I think all 3 of these relate to those negotiations, and so we're going to be tabling these until those negotiations have concluded. So please, with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move to table item 24-064, 24-065, and 24-066.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And thanks, Mike, for speeding that up. Appreciate it.
Cool.
The last item I believe we have on the agenda is 24-067 to hear an update on the Twin Brook Playground project, which I will turn that over to Councilor Douglas.
Awesome, thanks so much. So this has been a bit of a hot topic of conversation over some prior meetings, and I've seen some emails coming through, and it came back from the planning board, so I think, and Chair Segrist, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it had come back to the council just to give a full update. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I believe the planning board was being asked to approve the zoning change, right?
The SLOTA permits?
I don't know if it was SLOTA permit.
DEP.
The DEP permits, yeah.
Yep.
You were, Councilor Vail, you were there.
I was
Yeah,
there.
please.
The matter at hand for the planning board that evening was to approve for the DEP to wait for their licensing. It was approved for the Public Works to start their work. It was a site location meeting.
Correct.
Not a playground design.
Correct.
The focus of the meeting was to site the playground. It was also to include some expansion of parking areas, reseeding an area that was for runoff, sort of the preliminary work that had to be done before anything could be constructed.
Yeah.
And I think as you go into this, I think one of the reasons the planning board punted this back is because they didn't have design ideas, and they were concerned that if they approved the change without the design plans, they could inadvertently, hypothetically, what if we put in a 50-foot tower in there or something, would they be ultimately approving that? So they felt they needed to see the design plans ultimately as well.
I think the more accurate was that the material hadn't been delivered to them. They had there was a new lady that's working in the planning office, and anyway, some of the materials that they were supposed to have so they could review wasn't available for them that night, and that was why it was tabled.
Got it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
There were also, I watched the planning board meeting, and there were also a couple people who did get up and speak to the use of Twin Brooks or this particular use, or any use of Twin Brook, maybe being contrary to what Twin Brook was intended for.
Yeah.
So that needs to be teased out a little more, because you don't want that backfire on Twin Brook losing its identity.
Yeah. We'll jump into that right at the end, but for everybody that's watching at home, for the council, let's just walk it back. So planning board met about the DEP approval, didn't go through. It seemed as though the application was also somewhat incomplete, some missing pieces. Anyway, so I just wanted to back it up for everybody from a timeline perspective. In December of 2022, the council heard a proposal from Rec Director Pete Bingham for a capital improvement project for a playground at Twin Brook. Following that, in June of 23, the council authorized a surplus end-of-year transfer of $150,000 to be put towards the playground. In October of 2023, the Parks and Rec Committee discussed and voted on potential locations for a playground at Twin Brook. And in November of 2023, there was a posting in the Crier for volunteers for a playground subcommittee. In December of 23, and sorry to run through all these dates, the council authorized the spend of a portion of the allocated reserve funds for the potential permitting of the playground. And at that point, CV and Mahar was enlisted to assess the site location for potential playground growth there. In February of 2024, the playground subcommittee met for their inaugural meeting. And then most recently, the site plan that we're discussing that was just at the planning board went up for approval, and that was the DEP permitting for the site area, not for any specific build of the space. And so that kind of brings us back to today and where we are. The subcommittee is still in its early stages of establishing what that vision looks like, what kind of playground equipment we're going to have. There has been no decisions made, obviously still open for public input. Hopefully there'll be more opportunities down the line for public input. But also during that meeting, the planning board meeting, which I watched back myself, and Bob, you were there in person, there were conversations from those that stood up raising concerns about what is the long-term plan of Twin Brook. And I think, there's a lot of things on the horizon right now, the long-term plan for the comp plan, the new school, we're short on space. So maybe it is time for a conversation surrounding what is the long-term plan for Twin Brook and who that goes to. My understanding would be the Parks and Rec Committee, correct? Or would that be LCC? Does anybody know?
I believe it's the Parks and Rec Committee.
Parks and Rec,
By
okay.
ordinance.
By ordinance. For the whole, go ahead, Bob.
No, I can wait.
No, go.
All right. The ultimate decision of any use of the public property falls on the council. There is no constraints on the Twin Brooks. I would be very hesitant to encumber it for any reason for future use. None of us can sit here today and say what might be needed for the community 50 years out.
Yep.
And so I think that we would not be doing our duties if we encumbered that property for future use and future councils.
Right. And so just to back that up a little bit or converse about it. So my understanding is that Twin Brook and the playground fall within the park. The building of playgrounds falls within the Parks and Rec Committee. But I think something that was brought up, and Pete Bingham left. Well, you're here. Your dad. I was talking to your dad. But what is the plan for Twin Brook? Is that something we should be enlisting, our committee to take a bigger look at? Is that something people have interest in, or should that be part of the comp plan?
Can I jump in here? Because twice, Mike Schwint has been here from Lands and Conservation requesting that we put a conservation easement on Twin Brooks for just this reason, the potential overdevelopment of.
Yeah, but I don't know if
a
an
piece of
easement's the
property
answer.
Bob says is unencumbered, and it's right. It is currently unencumbered. When I talked to Bill Shane about it, he said, well, there's not much more that could happen there for development because of all the wetlands and all the setbacks, unless some sort of building development plan happened. So I just wanted to throw that out there for your consideration, and Mike's here as well, so.
One of the things that we did a couple of years ago is we identified parcels of land for agriculture. And so I would never encumber that land for the sole reason of we may have to put the plow out there and grow crops, because that may be a necessity for this community at some point. So I don't, I caution the conversations about, even for conservation, it is, this land needs to be open and free at the pleasure of the council today, with the vision that somebody else's vision or use of that property 10, 20, 30, however many years down the road, it meets the community of that population then.
But do you think I guess my point is, like, I don't know that a conservation easement is necessarily what I think would make the most sense. I think, in my mind, we should be it just goes back to the comp plan. Like, what is the long-term plan for the space, right? Like, things have evolved over the years. You know, the short time that I've been on the rec committee, there's more draw right now for, food trucks being there and for big events. And I personally don't have any issue with that. However, like, should we be establishing what those boundaries are for, like, the next 10 years? It's just a question to ask ourselves, and who are we directing to kind of manage that? I think that aside from the playground, this is a whole nother kind of animal that needs to be addressed. And what that looks like, I don't know. Maybe it stays exactly the same, but it's a question, and I think it's a valid one. So, go ahead, Ron.
Ron, you had his hand up?
Oh, Councilor Collins, sorry.
I too attended the planning board meeting that night, and I think the concern in the room was that they didn't want to see Twin Brooks turned into Funtown.
Yeah.
I really think that is the easiest way to explain it. They didn't want to see a bunch of plastic playgrounds down there. They wanted to see something more natural, wood and rock. And I think you're right. I mean, I think the comprehensive plan probably should look at it. And, but who knows 30 years down the road
Totally.
what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the night of the planning board meeting, they thought that we were just giving it final approval, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody was worried because they didn't know exactly what was taking place.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like you've got multiple moving parts here, right? You've got the LCC who may be requesting a conservation, drawing a blank on the word.
Easement.
Easement, thank you. On that property, you also have the Recreation Advisory Board, who by ordinance has the authority to make recommendations to the town council, to your point, regarding aging in place program and playgrounds on town-owned land. And then you also have the larger kind of umbrella question of, do all of these topics need to be brought in under part of a larger comprehensive plan? I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But, please, Councilor Filson.
I'll just throw out there that the addition of playgrounds was in the 2014 comprehensive
Yeah.
plan, and was also reiterated during the 2022 town survey as something that residents wanted. I don't disagree. I think that, of course, we should, add this as a facet of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
On the other hand, maybe there have been additional playgrounds built since 2014, but have there been any playgrounds built since the last comp
At
plan?
Wilson School, they have a new playground, but it's not accessible during school hours.
Yeah, that's not also town.
Right.
That's not town. I mean, it's MSAD, right?
Yeah, right, so nothing new on town-owned land since
No.
the 2014 comprehensive plan. So I think also, like,
Yeah.
if we want to keep the ball rolling forward and,
Yeah.
we are,
But it doesn't designate Twin Brooks as the place to put well, I don't know, Pete, when did we build the playground in West Cumberland? You thought you were going to get out of here.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
Pete Bingham, Recreation Director. We built the West Cumberland Playground in 2013. It went in
before the
November
2014.
2013. And, essentially the genesis for that was started with some residents from West Cumberland. We had that beautiful West Cumberland Athletic Complex, and really what it was missing was that type of feature. It's been a hugely successful, really where the Twin Brook idea began was we put the West Cumberland Playground in 2013, and instantaneously siblings had something to do while their brother or sister were playing football, baseball, soccer. You swing by there on a Saturday morning while flag football is going on. We've got 4 flag football games going on, and there's almost as many kids on the playground. So it was, people started, kind of anecdotally saying, well, why can't we do this at Twin Brook? Twin Brook has significantly more traffic, even though West Cumberland's a very busy space. So that's kind of where it all started.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will also say that I coached Little League, and my son the other day was supposed to be in left field, and the game was starting, and we couldn't find him. He had jumped the fence and gone to the playground there. So thank you for that.
That tracks.
Yeah, we lost that
It's
game.
your fault.
I know, well,
Is this the Dennis the Menace son?
This is, well, they're both kind of that together, yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of a light update on what's going on there. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? I know that wasn't super detailed. Go ahead.
I have a question. Do we
Yeah.
have a general, I mean, to Ron's point, do we have a general blueprint of this, of the idea of what a potential playground might look like? Is that, can we please,
all right.
oh man, we've got
Sure. Bill Shane.
Dusted off the old
former
guns.
town manager.
Resident Bill Shane.
Can you
Town
state your
citizen
name?
for
Can
the
you-
last 6 hours. Bill Shane, 39 Crossing Brook Road.
Okay, there we go.
Come to my house. My plea to you is let the committee finish their
Yeah.
plan. What initially was supposed to happen was a master plan for that area was going to be built. We showed you the area on a map. We said, this is the area. The Parks and Rec Advisory Committee came back and said, this is the best area. To me, the work hasn't even really started. We
would
just
agree.
hired a landscape architect to help us, and the vision was 3 components. One component was an active, your typical playground. The second component would be a feature like a water feature or something that could be added. The third element was the natural feature. And the natural feature, if you know Twin Brook, was supposed to go right where the kiosk is in that first parking lot, toward that top of that hill, and essentially be landscaped and be more natural elements to almost kind of act as a visual buffer for playground. But it was also supposed to be inclusive of people with mobility issues. What you see, especially in the South, a lot of these large playgrounds being built that have access for grandparents. They have parents that have mobility issues so that the walkway circles the park. There are benches, there are trees, there's shade. All of these elements are still being developed. We tried to take a shortcut, and all bad on me because I wanted to get it through the planning board before I left, so my fault. The planning board looked at me and said, so Bill, if you build a 30-foot tower of death on this playground, we're supposed to approve it because you said it was only about drainage and parking and traffic? And I said, you're right. That's unfair to put you in that position. Let's table it, let's move on, and we'll be back in a few months. And there's a very good committee. You're represented by some really good people that have both sides of the issue that you discussed tonight in front of you. Bailey has been refereeing for many meetings, so I appreciate that. But let them finish their work. They're going to meet next week with a landscape architect who's designed a half a dozen or so playgrounds throughout the state with just these types of elements in them so that they can bring that vision back. 2 things happen. The planning board is more comfortable, and you also have a fundraising opportunity that you have corporate sponsorships. You have local sponsorships that will buy and help pay for some of these elements. This isn't just going to be a teeter-totter and a swing set. This is going to be a bigger place like Twin Brook is. Twin Brook is your only active recreation area beside West Cumberland. You have thousands of acres of dedicated and protected open space today. You don't have that at Twin Brook. There isn't a lot of room left if you start basically restricting the areas. It's okay to have the policy against mowing. We'll abide by that, and we'll continue to abide by that. But if that area now becomes needed for additional fields 10, 15, 20 years from now, you'll have that ability and flexibility to do that as future councils come forward. You guys always have stressed 25-year plans. You've always told me, come back with something that's long-term, not short-term. So that's what this is. The ability to look beyond just what's needed today, the ability to share in corporate sponsorships and local sponsorships will eventually build that whole facility out. I think it'll be an addition, as Pete described. There's over 700 kids at Twin Brook on a Saturday morning, which is awesome. All our kids are playing there. It's an awesome sight to see. And it's a very, very heavily used facility. They've done a great job in the summertime rotating the fields to rest them, to bring them back. We've done a lot in investing and keeping that facility as the jewel of Cumberland. It will continue to be. And these people that you've appointed to these committees are also sharing that very much so in the sense that they're trying to protect it, but they're also trying to develop it in a responsible way.
Yep.
You also will have very soon the tool that Whitney requested during the budget process that you'll be able to put up some slides and say, where do you feel? How do you feel? And if the community comes back and says, no way, no how, maybe you take a left turn at that point. But I just urge you to let this group get their work done. If you want them to come back to you before they go to the planning board, that's absolutely reasonable. But let them continue down this path, because I think there's been a lot of work and a lot of energy, and I think that will just continue over the next few months.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. I mean, I think to Bill's point, kind of next steps, I do think it would be, on the 11th of June, we meet with the landscape architect, and then I would hope to see a little bit more progress in the next month or two on kind of what that vision looks like as a whole. And then I do think it would be helpful to come back to the council and just kind of share that vision before we make any more moves. I just think that's probably in the best interest of the community and all the stakeholders involved. So if everyone's comfortable with that, I will communicate that.
That's great. Thank you for that update, Councilor Douglas. And Mr. Manager, next time a resident like that comes up and speaks, we usually put a clock on to let them know that they're close to their 5 minutes. And let's,
Take care of it, Mr.
let's
Chairman.
run a tight ship there.
I had the chief on speed
Some
dial
of these
just in
residents
case.
get talking, and it's hard to get them to stop.
Come on.
Yes,
Public
please.
comment.
Yep. I don't believe there's any action on this, but we're happy to have public comment on this. Please.
Denise Thorson, Friar Lane. I don't want to be a party pooper. I just want to talk about a couple things about this that is a little, not concerning, but just something to keep in mind that I'm thinking about. The planning board meeting, Bill, you said that it was $150,000 put aside from the reserve for this, and then the hope is that there will be sponsorships and donations, and I hope that works. I would like for the plan to hopefully focus on having like a minimum viable product with that 150. I don't know if that would just be taken up by like site plan improvements or what, but in case there was no fundraising that came in as, right off the bat, to where now it's like, okay, this is gonna be at least $500,000 total and we want to get it finished, so we're kind of, okay, so it falls on, the town to pay for it. And the survey about the playgrounds, yes, the survey did show that 74% of residents do like playgrounds, but when it asked about Twin Brook, only 35% were in favor of a playground there, and only 41% supported increasing taxes to fund it. So I just want to make sure that 150 is used for something that gives us something, so that in the meantime, when you're fundraising, there's at least like a swing set for the kids to use or something, and just be patient and wait for the remainder of that to come in over time and phase it in. So that's my thing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the public? Comments? Okay, any other? I guess there's no action on that. So that, I believe, is the end of legislation and policy. So we will now move into new business, and I will, as I always do, start at my left with Councilor Kopp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A good friend of mine, a classmate who graduated with me, Judy Taylor Gagnon, was in and got a sticker on her vehicle the other day, and she donated $20 to the food pantry. Judy's going through some very tough times right now with her husband, and I just want her to know that we're all thinking of her, and this is very much appreciated. Didn't have to do it, and it's going to a very worthy cause. Tonight will be the last night that you see me sitting here. I've been here for 18 years. A special thanks to Brenda Moore. She's made us look like we knew what we were doing up here. She's been phenomenal. She has been on top of her game. Some of these meetings went on, I'm going back 10, 15, 18 years ago. Some of these meetings, we were here until 11, 11:30 at night, and Brenda was spot on the minutes. Every time she sent the minutes, she was spot on. She's done a great job. Whitney, thank you for all you've done. I know this crier is a full-time job for you, and you're doing a top-notch job, so thank you very much. And I especially would like to thank my wife for supporting me for 18 years. She has been my secretary, the one that keeps my iPad up to date, and keeps me looking somewhat respectable. So thank you very much, and I've truly enjoyed the 18 years that I've sat up here. And I look forward to the new era of the new people coming in, and I hope you guys continue to carry the torch. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Counselor Vale.
All right, I have three things here this evening, and they're gonna be age-related.
Oh, golly.
The first guy is a fellow named Harry Kukos, 100 years old, just passed away. I have a bad habit of reading the obituaries religiously. I think that's an age thing, but anyways, this fellow moved to the United States as a teenager, and before he was even a citizen of the United States, he volunteered at the age of 17 to serve in World War II. Anyways, it just struck me that he was a guy that no one asked him about his residency or, well, are you a citizen or whatever, and he went off and served our country as an immigrant before he was even a naturalized U.S. citizen. Anyways, if anybody has something to do or needs something to do, his obituary is pretty interesting read for someone. My second guy is 94 years old, Bob Maloney. He marched in the Veterans Day, Memorial Day parade with us with his son. The two of them were right at the head of the parade, and just an amazing man to 94 years old and just walking out there with everybody else. Anyways, again, thanks for the town staff who helped with all the things that went on that day. It was a memorial experience. And now we get to the young person that I wanted to make mention of. This person was Maine Needs founder. Angela Stone is Humanitarian of the Year. Again, this was, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's not how long you live in a community, it's what you do while you're here. And I think that her example and what she has done and is doing is just a heartwarming thing that I think needs to be recognized. And maybe after you're gone, Mark, we can have her down here and give her a plaque. But we should all be proud of her efforts. Again, Angela Stone, Humanitarian of the Year. That's all I got.
Thank you, Bob. I know she'll really appreciate that. Thank you. Counselor Filson.
Just for the cameras, here she is.
There she is.
Here she is. That's Mark's wife, for people that don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Should have disclosed that.
Your better half.
Yeah.
Your much better half. I wanted to just say thank you to Shirley, who I met in 2019 along with Bailey when we joined the Bicentennial Committee, and Shirley was our council liaison to what ended up being a series of right-hand turns trying to plan a town-wide celebration during a pandemic, which I think we ended up in a pretty good place.
Yeah, we did.
But, I mean, one, I think Shirley was the first person that really kind of inspired me to ever think about public service in this level and what it could really mean for a town. And I think that you just said, I remember you showing up on the morning of the Bicentennial, like 8 a.m., just ready to work. And you did. And until 10 o'clock at night, folding chairs. We were all in the rain. We were drenched. It was a really, really special day. And so it's been wonderful to be able to have additional special days twice a month all together. You know, we've had our share of you know, not agreeing on things, and we've had other times where you know, I think fondly of you giving me some delicious pumpkin cake at your table. And I think that one of the things I cherish so much is your ability to make people feel seen and heard. And even when you don't always end up in the same place. Just kind of having those dialogues to get you there is a really important thing. And I appreciate that so much in you. So, yes, congratulations. Ron, I'm going to miss you a lot. And Mark, just again, your patience, your kindness. You went through the ringer this year, and you've got a lot of grit. So we are lucky to have you, and thank you for sitting there despite, it being tough sometimes. So you're a good egg. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Filson. Councillor Douglas.
I would like to echo Bob and Tig's sentiments regarding Angela Stone. I think, not you, Mark. I remember the way I found out about Maine Needs, not that anyone cares, but I'm going to bore you with the story, is I was doom scrolling on Instagram, and I remember finding the account and seeing that this person had like 18 or 19,000 followers at the time and being like, what is this? And how has it exploded? And I remember when I met Mark's wife just being like in such awe of someone who could be such an advocate for people in the community and so humble and kind. And it's really incredible to know that there are people that we get to walk around with every day that carry that with them. And I think she doesn't get enough credit for it. So congratulations to Angela. Congratulations to Ronald Kopp, the man who picked me up on the side of the road at the Target when my battery died. Showed up, 20 minutes. He was there. He helped me. Think very fondly of you, Ron.
Thank you.
You're a good man. Mark, congratulations. You already got your spiel, so surely. You know you'll miss me.
I will. You're growing on me, baby.
You're growing on me.
I'm the personality you didn't know you needed. But no, I think Tig did an incredible job of just talking about how you are such an advocate for the people, and it really centers all of us and grounds us all. And that will be missed. And it's going to be hard to find someone who kind of centers us in that way. So
Thank you.
good to know you're not far away.
I'm not.
On your public road. That's all I have for new business.
So does that mean that's a road acceptance?
Councillor Eads, any new business?
I just want to welcome the new manager. I think the biggest compliment I've heard tonight really came from your predecessor. And those are, when Bill Shane says the words that he said, mad about you, I think just speaks volumes. And I can only imagine the satisfaction that Bill has leaving this place in your hands. And I'm looking forward to working with you for next year. Couple things, Bob. I want to thank you and the veterans who marched in the parade. Didn't go unnoticed, and I keep thinking about our veterans and who their ultimate sacrifices, and having a kid that's serving overseas right now. It means a lot. So thank you for you. And Bob Maloney just is amazing. 94 years old, and he walks with the spirit and stride of a 25-year-old. He is. So, Ronnie, I'll be seeing you. Obviously, I'll see you around. And thank you very much for everything. Mark, wonderful job this past year. Hasn't been easy, but you've done a great job. And Shirley, we'll be in touch.
We will.
So, thank you very much.
Councillor Story King.
Well, I can tell you all that Bob Maloney can not only still walk a long ways, but he can still dance, because the Story family had a fundraising barn dance a couple weeks ago, and he showed up, and because people over 80 were free, and he was well over 90, so it was fun to see him out on the dance floor. A couple of things. Just a quick reminder to people at Twin Brooks, clean up after your dogs. I was at a lacrosse game with my little person, my 4-year-old person, and she was rolling down the hill with a couple of other. They love that. They love rolling down the hill, but she almost rolled in. She did not, but she came very close. So just a plea to remind dog owners to clean up after your dogs. I would not be doing my job if I didn't say congratulations to the girls and boys track team on their state titles. In my earlier life, coached both girls and boys. I coached long, triple, and high jump, and they came home with the trophy again this year. And also girls ultimate frisbee, which I think is a club sport, but it also won the state championship. Congratulations to Charlie Anania. He was the Story Family Scholarship winner this year. It's a scholarship my family gives in recognition of community service. Charlie's done more than his share of community service after facing a life-threatening illness. He was one of the major contributors to getting Kyle Cares off the ground at Greeley. There's another award, and I don't have the winner, but years ago, John M. and Lillian R. Kimball started a scholarship for outstanding school citizenship. And I don't have the name of the winner, but I mention it because there are opportunities for people to give back to our community in ways you might not have thought of. I went to a graduation one year when my nieces graduated from Winthrop High School, and that community gave out so much money, and most of those donors were all private. So I challenge people in the community to see what you might be able to do to help out kids who need it. The cost of education is disturbing right now, the cost for higher ed. So I'll leave with that. Final thoughts. 21 years ago, my dad was contemplating not running. And I think he was hoping one of my brothers or one of his nephews might step up to the plate, but he got me. And I said to him, Dad, if you run for 3 more years, which he wanted to do anyway so he could train you, Bill, I'll run if no one else wants to. And I heard that Ron might be running, so I scooted myself up to Cop Motors and I said, okay, Ron, if you run, I'll run. He had probably already decided. It has been my pleasure to serve the people of Cumberland. When I ran without an agenda. I said if I had an agenda, it would be to make sure people like my son Josh had a place in our community. And he does, and there are places. There are people living independently at Drown Road School, which is one of the projects I'm proud of. I'm proud of the work we've done to acquire Broad Cove and Knight's Pond and expand Rhines Forest and to the newest Watson Woods that we supported just weeks ago. I'm proud of all that open space we acquired and the smart growth we've allowed to happen in our community. When I started, politics were not, and I want to say this carefully because politics have gotten a bad rap in today's society, and it seems like the political agendas are so far left or so far right that there's little opportunity to meet in the middle to get work done. And that was what I feared was going to happen in Cumberland. It did not end up that way. We worked through our differences and we came out stronger for it. And I am grateful to each and every one of you for that strength. I've always believed that you learn as much, if not more, from your challenges, and challenges are opportunities for growth. And we had a lot of growth this year. For people who think I might be retiring because of politics, it's not. I've had some chronic health issues over the years affecting my heart, and it's just time to give this baby some rest. It's burning a little bit right now, and this doesn't happen often, but otherwise I'd be still here trying to persuade counselors what's your job and what's not your job. This is what the charter says, and the charter doesn't say this. So to everyone, I'm so thankful for the support over the years. Ron, I think Wendy's right. We might have a couple of chairs with our names on them here in the audience.
Yeah.
We might maybe put our signs on a chair.
There we go.
I'm not trying to scare you.
I'm sure Matt will see us.
I'm grateful in the last year, I know there's been a lot of positives and minuses for the Cumberland North Yarmouth taxpayer group. But last November, they invited me to a meeting, and I started attending. And it really is a diverse group of people. There are, I've said it before, there are conservative people and there are liberal people. There are a couple of people who are like 35. I teased them. I said, were you born then? Because Chris and Pete were like in 5th and 6th grade when I started teaching in the district. 5th grade, right, Pete, or 6th? Jamie's class? To my fellow town councilors, I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and for the ones who came before me. I will never forget the conversations Mary Lou Smith and my dad used to have. Lots and lots of coffee and discussion about how Cumberland should be run and managed. And it was Mary Louise Smith and the League of Women Voters who really transitioned us from a selectman form of government to a town council. So I'm proud to be, at this point, this is a challenge to you two. I'm the longest serving female elected official. 18 years, ladies. You got a challenge ahead of you. Bill, department heads, Chris, Pete, Chair, thank you for all of your responsiveness and meeting the needs of our citizens in so many ways, from running warming shelters to those Saturdays and Sundays, Pete, that, we tried to protect your Sundays, and every now and then you come up with some tournament you have to have a rain date on a Sunday for. To all the people who've stepped in front of us with disagreements, I think I've probably learned the most from you, and I'm grateful for those lessons and those challenges. My family, I don't think they're going anywhere, and I hope that I get a little more time with them, and I hope that the Sunday dinner table discussions continue to be civically minded. I'm sure they will. And then, just in general, for everybody who lives here, their people and the passion for this town. I hope I've served you proudly. To the new manager and the new counselors, please reach out. I'd be honored and happy to help out in whatever ways I can. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Story King. You have a lot to be proud of, and you should be proud. And as I said earlier, I don't know if there's anyone who cares more about Cumberland taxpayers than Shirley Story King. And I've learned a lot from you, and 18 years is an incredible accomplishment, and the family legacy is something you should be very, very proud of. Very, very proud of. Councilor Kopp, I would just also like, did you have a comment, please?
I just want to make one comment. There's 2 possible future counselors in the room here tonight, and obviously we didn't scare them off because they didn't get up and run out of here. So I wish you both luck. And you got big shoes to fill, so good luck.
That's great. Thank you very much. I know it's late. Just a couple quick comments that I have very briefly. First off, I'd again like to welcome our town manager. I am very excited that you're here. I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be able to work with you very long apart from this meeting, and I think I screwed up the intro, so my apologies for that.
Got about 10 days until.
Oh yeah, that's true. Something may come up. That's true. I would also like to thank our outgoing town manager. You have single-handedly showed me what really good local town government can be. I get asked the question a lot from people around the country and the world, what's it like to serve on a town council? What's the local politics like? How is a town run? And I think of you immediately, and I think of the council members that I serve with, and I think there are a lot of really smart, dedicated, wonderful people that help keep the heartbeat of this town moving, and in a really responsible way. And you have been at the helm for so long, and you've done such a wonderful job, and you should be really proud of what you've accomplished. It's been an honor to serve with you. And again, welcome our new town manager as well. To Councilor Kopp, I said earlier that you answer the phone within the first ring, and you do it with a joke and a smile, and you keep us level-headed. You're the first person to kind of get in your car and go help somebody if they need something. You're also a person that votes the way you think, not the way other people think you should vote. And I've always really respected that, and I've respected the way that you've disagreed with me. I've respected the way that you've disagreed with other people on the council, and I've learned a lot from you, and I've come away with just a mountain of respect for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you're ever broke down over at Target, I'll come get you.
Councilor Vail, very quickly, the words vision and leadership and long-term thinking come to mind when I think of you. You are a wild card for me, and I love it. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and we can see it pounding and thumping. And the way you tie things back to history and accomplishment and always encourage us to see the long-term vision is something that I always have loved, because you pull my head out of kind of what I'm reading now and the thoughts I'm thinking now to help me think longer term and bigger. I think bigger is something that always comes to mind when I think of you, and it's been an honor to serve with you, and you've pushed me, and I appreciate it, and yeah, it's been an honor. Councilor Filson, you said earlier that I have a way of distilling things down, complex topics down, into kind of more digestible bites maybe for the public. I think you have a better way of taking those complex topics and distilling them down to sometimes what's the most important thing to people, which is how they feel about something. Something I miss.
Feel this?
Yeah, I feel that. I miss that sometimes. And so I appreciate you always bringing me back to checking in with that with folks. And it's kind of a different language and a translator that you have, and it's really been an honor to serve with you, and I appreciate it. Councilor Douglas, the fact that you decided to run for town council after immediately having twins makes me want to question your mental health.
That woman.
It's unwell.
It is, but it just shows your dedication to the town and wanting to always do more and be everything for everyone. Yeah. And I know it's a lot on you, but we're fortunate to have you on the council because your ability to take complex financial information or a budget or these other things that you've seen for 3 minutes and distill that down and have 50 wonderful analytical questions about it is really a testament to you, and honestly, your cognitive abilities are amazing. And so we're very fortunate to have you, and I've been fortunate to serve with you, and I really appreciate it, and I wish it was longer. But,
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Councilor Eads, you're the first person to shake my hand. You're the first person to come and slap me on the back when I walk in. It could be after a 10-hour discussion and what I would consider a pretty robust debate. You're the first person to set it aside and say, what are we doing next? What's next? And I've always really appreciated that about you. I'm still burning wood at my house from a tree that fell down on your property that you cut up and split for me and left the keys in your truck for me to come pick that up. I'll never forget that. And you're the first person to offer up a generator or a ride or whenever they need something. And you make politics good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really been an honor serving with you. It's been a rough year, but you guys have just been wonderful to serve with, and you in particular have been great. So with that, it has been an honor to serve as the chair of the town council for the last year. It's been an honor to serve here for the last 3 years. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I'm very glad that I did it. I'm excited for a break. I would like to thank my wife as well for giving up all those countless hours where she's putting kids to bed that do not want to go to bed, that act like it's a new concept every single night. That's been a lot of hours on her, and I'm excited to be back there and focus a little bit more on my wife and kids. So with that, thank you, Cumberland. Really appreciated it. So, and I'm not going anywhere either. So.
Thank you, Bill Shane, for these maps. I love you. Thank you.
Anything else?
Chairman, motion to adjourn.
We have a
I'll
motion
second.
to adjourn, and we have a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone.
Congratulations.
That's